What's going on, everybody? It's Jay Coffee Talk back again with another video for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. For all the new viewers, make sure to get in the comments. It's very important to my channel. I want to hop right into this topic today. You see, I'm talking about the Central Park 5 and DNA evidence. One last thing before I get into it, I have a few videos about the Central Park 5, about when they see us on my channel. Please go back and watch it if you guys are interested, to all the new viewers. But anyways, this is something that I was just kind of thinking about, and it just hit me, right? In New York State. So with this, basically, this is what it comes down to, right? When the Central Park 5 were on trial and everything, they had DNA at the scene of the crime. They found semen in a sock. You know what I'm saying? And the prosecutors, because they railroaded these innocent kids, but they felt, oh, it's got to be them. They thought that was the detectives and prosecutors. They thought that was a smoking gun. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to prove for sure that one of these kids, attacked this woman. Well, it ended out not matching any of them. So instead of, trying to do something based off of that result, they buried that evidence. Like, that's really what happened. And when they see us, that's really what happened in real life. They hid that they had that item tested. And, the expert witness who did the testing accidentally, spoke about it when he probably did that on purpose. He probably felt this ain't right because he mentioned it when, he was being questioned by the defense. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is in New York State, and I know the rules have got stricter. Back then, back in the 90s and early 2000s, if someone had a violent felony, they had, like, part of, when you're convicted is you have to give a DNA sample, which goes into a NCIC, which stands for National Crime Index Computer. And, that holds everything from DNA samples, fingerprints, people's rap sheets, people MOs, things, people want to be questioned for, warrants, all that. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like, when someone gets to jail, say they made it to the county jail under a fake alias, they were given a fake name. Once their fingerprint hits that National Crime Index Computer, when they're booked, everything else is going to pop up. You know what I'm saying? So back then, all people convicted of a violent felony, as I was saying, would have to give up DNA sample. And they've even got stricter now where some people, this is in New York State, I can't speak about for everywhere else. Even some people who are convicted of misdemeanors have to give up DNA evidence. So basically what I'm saying is, all along they had this DNA evidence, and Matias Reyes ended up, the East Side slasher, he ended up being arrested, convicted of a bunch of other horrific crimes. And, many years later, he confesses, and, he feels bad about it. He found God and everything. And, they still don't even want to clear these kids' names and exonerate them of the crime. They want to say, oh, he was their accomplice, or, oh, he's lying, or, you know what I mean? Like, all this other stuff. But what's crazy is, had they just kept running that DNA, it would have came up when he was convicted of those other crimes. Because when he went to jail, they would have took his DNA. Like, that blows my mind. You know what I mean? He confessed, and they still didn't want to let these kids out. And all they would have had to do was test that DNA. And in the, movie and everything, or the series, you see that when they're coming down on these, the prosecutors, the detectives and such, and saying, you guys messed up, everyone thought it wasn't these kids. We knew there was a lot of questions, if it was really them or not. And because a lot of people felt, their gut instinct was like, these kids didn't do it. But that's what was really heartbreaking about it, is so many people felt that way, but no one spoke up and stopped it from happening. You know what I mean? Like, when you're watching it, you're like, just Come on, like all kinds of different people knew that it wasn't them, and they just let that happen. But anyways, when they were coming down on them, they were saying, hey, when you picked up Reyes on those other crimes, he confessed to a lot of them when you guys were pressing him. Had you pressed him about the Central Park 5, or about the jogger, he would have confessed to that too. Well, it's like, wouldn't they have just been able to test the DNA and match it up, and it would have been, and they would have figured it out then? You know what I mean? But it's like, they pulled that bullshit, and they kept putting out lies on top of lies to cover up what they did. And I posted something on my Twitter and my Instagram. I shared something someone put up about people living, telling lies all the time is no way to live. That's what people who tell lies do. They cover it up with more lies on top of lies on top of lies. And instead of, if they weren't doing that, this crooked justice system, they would have tested the DNA and figured it out. But instead, they tried to hide it. But they had the proof who the perpetrator was right there all that time. You know what I mean? It's like they didn't even really need this confession. And that still almost wasn't enough to free these guys. They still almost wanted to try to keep them in there. It just blows my mind, y'all. But I don't know why this just hit me when I was thinking of, all this stuff. And, I was watching a video about the Central Park 5. They had the DNA of Reyes all them years. Reyes got convicted of all these crimes. He had to have given a DNA sample. How did this not come up? How did they not figure this out? You know what I mean? But just wanted to share that with y'all. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's Jay Coffee Talk. As I said, get in the comments your feedback. It's very important. That's what this channel's all about.